what's going on YouTube? Adam C here. Thanks for watching. So today we're going to talk about 3 tips for crystal clear aquarium water, which is what a lot of us hobbyists try really hard to achieve. And joining me today will be Anthony from Unconventional Aquatics. I'm going to go ahead and leave a link to his channel in the description of this video. Guys, make sure and check him out and subscribe if you like what you see. He's got a lot of cool stuff going on. So Anthony's going to give us his 3 tips, and then we'll come back and I'll give you mine following him. So thanks for watching, and let's kick it over to Anthony.
Hey everybody, my name's Anthony from Unconventional Aquatics, a channel where I focus on how to DIY and money-saving alternatives. Now Adam, sincerely thank you for letting me have this spot on your channel. I greatly appreciate it. And Adam C viewers, I greatly appreciate you guys taking time to watch this video. So let's get right into this topic. So the topic is, what is the top 3 things that has worked for us to obtain crystal clear aquarium water? Now these 3 things are in no specific order, but I'm going to start off with the first one, which is kind of 2 things, and that is going to be filtration along with circulation. Not necessarily going nuts on over filtering your aquarium, but adequate filtration. If your aquarium is disgusting and you are on top of your maintenance, or it's just not where you want it to be and you're always on top of your maintenance, one thing that you might want to look at is your filtration. And then circulation. For those who I am familiar to, you'll know I'm a firm believer in wave makers, in power heads. If your fish can handle it, which you would be surprised, there's a lot more fish out there than you probably think that can handle a nice current with inside your tank. I personally love it with African cichlids, can withstand a ton of current, and what that helps me do is any food that may get uneaten or any excess debris never has a chance to settle inside my aquariums, because I have such a nice flow rate going on that it is constantly moving and it is constantly taken in by one of the filters in the tank. So having proper filtration and circulation really makes it to where nothing can ever settle inside this tank, overall resulting in a clean, clear aquarium. And my number 2 thing to achieve crystal clear aquarium water is food. High quality food and quantity of food. I was a victim of this for a very long time, of overfeeding, and I was driving myself nuts, constantly doing water changes, constantly vacuuming my gravel, and I was just simply overfeeding my fish. I drop food in here and it's literally gone before it ever gets to the bottom. And that is perfect for me. I have no uneaten food, and also my fish are just perfectly full where they're producing a normal amount of waste and not an overload of waste to where I have debris constantly floating around in my aquarium. And now it's time for number 3. So crystal clear aquarium water really isn't hard to achieve, but what is kind of hard to achieve sometimes is those fine particulates, and I love polyfill, as you've probably heard of before. This stuff is dirt cheap. You pack it inside your filters. It does an amazing job at filtering out those really, really tiny particulates. It's easy to remove and it's easy to replace. Bonus tip, relate this one to your car. You might have the cleanest car on the inside, but if you have dirt and water droplets all over the outside of your car, to everybody, it's going to look dirty. So clean your glass. All right, guys, that is my time. And just remember, never neglect your basic maintenance, your water changes, your filter maintenance. That is the foundation for success in this hobby and the foundation to set you up for crystal clear water. Adam, I want to thank you again for the great opportunity. Adam C viewers, thank you for watching.
All right, guys, so there's some great tips from Anthony. So my tips are following here. My first tip, and it's one that Anthony already mentioned, it's because I think it is so important for crystal clear water, is you cannot overfeed your fish and expect your water to stay clear. If you got a bunch of food laying, on the sand bed or the substrate whenever you're done feeding, that's just going to cloud your water up no matter how much chemical filtration, no matter how many water changes, no matter what you do. If you're overfeeding, your tank is going to be cloudy almost no matter what. So tip number 1, I know it's not original because Anthony just mentioned it and most people realize that, but I think it's that important where I also wanted to mention that as well. So moving on to tip number 2. Tip number 2 for me is you don't need to deep clean your substrate every single time you do a water change, or every day if you're doing daily maintenance on your tank. If you're not overfeeding, you should not get an enormous buildup of food or waste down into your sand bed that quickly that you would have to do a deep clean, nearly daily or every water change. By stirring up your sand bed every time you're vacuuming out your tank, if you're doing it, every few days or weekly, you're going to have, constant particles in your water to where it's really going to be difficult for you to feel like you have, the crystal clear water that you're going for. So what I do is about every 3 water changes, I dig really deeply into the sand bed and vacuum it out. And I find that kind of just stirs the tank up for maybe a day or so, and then everything calms back down to normal and it returns to nice and clear. I used to have clarity problems in my tank, and I thought, I just couldn't vacuum the sand bed enough. So I was constantly deep cleaning the sand bed. And finally, I just stopped, and I said, I'm just going to let it be for a few days. And after that, it went completely clear, really just like that. So as long as you're not overfeeding your fish, you should not have to deep clean your sand bed or your substrate that often. Maybe just every couple weeks to keep any gas pockets from developing. So on to tip number 3. And finally, tip number 3, ignore the nastiness in the filter. This is one of my FX6 trays. I do use chemical filtration. I use ChemiPure Blue. But if you don't use this type of chemical filtration properly, you can almost waste it. So if you see here, I've got 3 bags of ChemiPure Blue in this filter tray, and it completely covers the whole tray. So what happens is if you just have it like this, the water is going to go around your media and not through it, and you're going to lose the effectiveness of that media. So if you can, whether you're using, ChemiPure, carbon, whatever it is you use, polyfill, you want to make sure you're covering the entire surface area of that specified tray to force the water through your media and not around it. A special thank you again to Anthony from Unconventional Aquatics. Just a reminder, there is a link to his channel in the description of this video, so make sure and check him out, guys. I think you'll enjoy it. As always, thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.